Good morning, everyone. If this is your first time watching me, I am Lainey from Upper Room Prints, and welcome. This is going to be a little bit of a different kind of video. I normally do vlogs that I release once a week, but since I am taking a little downtime, I decided to do a couple of tutorials for the next couple of weeks, or something like that. We'll see what happens. But this week, I wanted to show you all how to make magnetic bookmarks. And the template for these bookmarks will be available for free on my website, upperroomprints.com. The link will be in the description for you to access them yourself. So let's get started. So what you'll need for this project is very little. I'll put the images of what I use and the direct links to Amazon will be listed below for the items. I use Hamilco white cardstock thick paper. It's a 8.5 by 11, so letter size. That's 100 pound. And it comes in a 50 pack. I actually need to order some more, so I just put that in my cart. And I use that, which is this paper right here, for the actual printing of the bookmark. Then I use Oracle 651 transparent adhesive. It's the 12 by 12 gloss finish one that I typically use. You don't have to do this step, but I have noticed that it adds kind of like a professional look to it, as well as giving it a little bit more sturdiness. And for the magnets, I use the 100-piece 10 by 1 millimeter thin strong neodymium neodymium magnet. It's it'll be on the screen because yeah. But they're pretty cheap. It comes with 100 of them, and I use 2 for each sticker for each magnet, and it's like $7.99, so you can get 50 magnets out of that, so it's not that bad. And I like them because the magnet is a lot stronger and it can go through more pages, stays a little bit better on the book pages. Next thing I use is just Elmer's glue. You don't have to, especially since I have this next step that I'm going to tell you about, but I do it just for my own sanity. And then the last piece I use is sticker paper. And I use the Online Labels matte sticker paper. It comes in 100 sheets. It's 20 bucks for 100 sheets. And you can get a lot of bookmarks out of just one sheet. So I tend to do that because it finishes off the project a little bit better and it makes it look a little cleaner. And I will show you all of those being used in the steps that you're going to follow. So over the last few days, I've been working on a little cute little image that I could do in my spare time without any pressure. If you saw my short that I released last week, I'm taking the pressure off myself. So this is a gnome that I drew. He is absolutely adorable. He is holding a couple of pumpkins, and then the background is just a circle. So this is a PNG file. When you do bookmarks or any kind of image that you're going to be taking into a cutting file, it's usually easiest to either do like a basic shape like a square, rectangle, or a circle. A circle would be a little bit harder to get if you're cutting it by hand, but it's still doable. So we take this PNG file, you open it into whatever, any kind of photo editing software that you might be using, and you then have another page that's pretty big. I'm using a standard letter size page, and I take this and I import it into this file. For magnetic bookmarks, you can do several different things. You can have it where one side looks like the actual image, like here, and on the other side it can just be a strip. But for this one, I am doing a double-sided circle. So I'm going to copy and paste this, and so that it will be a mirror image of it, we just flip it. So there you go. And then I just move it a little further away. From there, you take a basic shape like a rectangle and you put it in between the two images. You put it at the bottom of the image and you change it to whatever color that you might want it to be. For this one, I am going to change it to that color and then darken it a little bit. And that's basically it. That's basically all the bookmark is going to look like. Export it as a PNG. And I use Affinity Designer to create all of my graphics, like in order to export it to Silhouette or to any other software. And on my iPad, I drew this in Procreate. So anyway, I exported as a PNG, and that's pretty much it for that part. Next, we will be going into Silhouette. I unfortunately do not have a tutorial for Cricut, as I don't have a Cricut, but this next step you don't really need to follow if you just want to print it out in any size that you want, or you can put it in any software that you normally would use. But I will show you how I personally make my magnetic bookmarks. I have now imported or merged the file into Silhouette Studio. From here, you can you don't want to print it at this size because, as you can see from the red marks around it, it'll be way too big. So I will make it smaller. I typically have the width of my bookmarks being no more than 2 inches, which is a good sturdy size for bookmarks. And if I'm just making one, I can just print this out by itself, or I can duplicate it numerous times to fit the page. But since this is just a quick tutorial, I think I'll just print out a couple of them, one as a backup. I typically will always print something as a backup, just in case when I'm putting the film on it, it comes out okay. So let's print these and get them ready to go. When I print these, I will always put it on the highest resolution for the paper, whatever that is for your printer. I have a Canon Maxify 6020, I believe. And just print. While that is printing, we will work on the back. So you take these two pictures with the magnets, you copy them, put it on another sheet, and oh, you copy them, all of them. Let's try that again. Copy them and paste. I'll just do the entire area one color so that it'll print out correctly, which I think I probably will do this time just to keep it easy for myself. So I just like to cover it up, change the color to that. There you go. And then I just print it out. You don't, of course, see the cut marks here. And while it's printing, I will usually send this to the back, change the color to the line color to blue so that my cutting machine will know not to cut that. It'll just cut around here. And that is it. The next item we will do is we'll be putting this lovely laminate on it. So the camera angle will change. So those are now printed out. We have the front of them, as you can see. And you have the inside. So what we're going to start with right now is we're going to put this laminate over this. I do not need this entire sheet of laminate. I am only going to cover one of them for this example. Laminate is not cheap, so we save it where we can. Alright, I take that and I cover it with the laminate. Put it there. Make sure it's flat. And this is why I have multiple copies just in case. And I seal it in. You can use something like this squeegee, or you can use a ruler, your hand, whatever straight edge. I typically like to use this because it has a soft covering around the edge. The next step is to cut out the actual bookmarks themselves, the front and the back. I personally will be using my cutting machine because I don't have the steadiest hands, especially when it comes to circles. So I'll be using the cutting machine, but this is completely optional. If you want to cut it by hand, you're more than welcome to cut it by hand. If you don't want to have the laminate on it, you don't have to do that. All of that is optional. It's completely up to your personal preferences. But I will see you all once everything is cut out. There's also something I forgot to mention that I personally use to make my bookmarks is this scoring mat or scoring board. And I just use it basically to put the correct middle part so that it'll fold correctly. I mean, you can do it by hand. I actually usually start it by hand because I can never tell where it's supposed to bend. But anyway, you bend it, you do a little score right here. And let me show you the main reason why I print the way I do for the back. You see how there's no white marks, it'll be perfectly fine. Peel it off, and you have both of them without any white around the edges, which is always a little bit of an issue. No cutting machine is 100% perfect. Then I have both the laminated version and then I have the unlaminated version. You can do either way for either one of them. It doesn't really matter. With this one, I'm not going to put the magnet on it, but I will on the laminated one just so that you can see it. And these are my little magnets. You see how tiny they are? I only have a few left in this pack. And here's my glue. I take out a couple of magnets. I glue down where I want the first one to go. And then I'll let it sit there for a couple minutes just to make sure it's really stuck down there. And I will be back once that's settled. It is now dry. And this is the next step that I have to do. So what I do from here is I take the inside print that I did and I place it over this side, and then I also put the magnet in there. So let me show you how I do that. Let me peel this first. So I peeled back this one side of it, and now I'm trying to line it up perfectly with the other one, which yes, it takes the longest amount of time. Then I just stick it down pretty hard. And this is why I say you don't necessarily need to glue it down, but I prefer to. And from here, I take this magnet, so I know where to line it up exactly. See how it just kind of flops there? Perfect. Take this off, and then I put a little dab of glue on that one, and I close it, open it, so that it is like that. And then I peel it off, and it will line up exactly, or supposed to. Basically, just line it up and peel it off at some point, you know, for a little while. And there you go. You have a bookmark. So I wanted to thank you all for joining me today and learning about how to make these little cute little magnetic bookmarks. And they will stick pretty well. Let me show you what it looks like on like a piece of cardboard. You hear that click? They do work pretty well. So I just wanted to thank you all for joining me on this tutorial. If you have any other ideas for tutorials, let me know. I am more than willing to share. I hope you will join me again next week. All right, bye.